can you share your thoughts on this idea of how do we create the future of work that we'd like with all of these emerging technologies?
Yeah, it's a big conversation, Emma, because I asked the question out loud, have we actually thought beyond the idea of automation? Because we're so convinced about it. And we need to digitize, we need hybrid work, we need automation, we need. But then you go, okay, well, what will the future look like? And I don't find too many people able to explain it because we haven't discovered it and things change all the time. It was the conversation you were referring to was myself and 𝗂𝗂, and we were talking about contact centers where there's a lot of automation has been applied, chatbots and email triage and RPA and whatever else. And in that example, what actually happened was the agents who used to answer some of the more mundane calls, as we would call them, they actually used those as a break between the complex calls. And the complex calls normally involved, complaints and angry customers and whatever else. And the challenge with that was it was complaint after complaint after complaint, complex after complex after complex. And then that doubled down with the challenge that everybody's at home at the moment. So where you're in work, you get a really difficult customer conversation. You're able to, kick the bin, complain, go outside, get away from your desk, complain to a colleague. But once you're at home sitting by yourself, you can't get away. And then technically and mentally, someone is physically or verbally abusing you in your home, and you've no real escape. So in that context there, you would really worry if we've thought through the consequences of automation, which originally sounded really, really keen. Now, don't get me wrong, what I'm not advocating is that we don't do automation, but it smacks a little bit of years ago. I could see the same argument unfolding when AI was involved. We need AI, and nobody thought beyond the next bit. And then we started to have conversations around ethics. And then we discovered AI wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Again, now we're putting checks and balances in place to make sure we get AI for good. And as Danilo mentioned a moment ago, there's tons of uses for this that are really beneficial to society, just like there's tons of uses for automation and digitization to be really beneficial for workplaces. The bit I am arguing is just let's stop for a moment, think that little bit ahead, a la the ethics conversation in AI, and let's just make sure that we're delivering the future that we want and that we're really trying to help our colleagues in work understand what that future looks like and help them cope with it. And that's mixtures of probably, skills, that's mixtures of remote support. And by the sounds of things, what I was talking to Valor for those agents who are getting emotionally and mentally abused, that's also putting support mechanisms in place to help them cope with this bright and breezy future. I think we can get the balance right, and it'll certainly suit, but there's a whole host of lessons to be learned. Let's just make sure, Emma, we learn those lessons as we progress, not just rush to this end state for the sake of rushing to it at a hasty pace.